One. Good evening. Welcome everyone to the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board meeting of March 28th. I will open the meeting at 6:37 p.m. I will take roll call. Trustee Nunes. Here. Trustee Chabot Mahim is out. Trustee Tavera.
Present.
Vice President Bloom. Here. And I myself am present. We have quorum. Moving on to item number 2, which is the approval of the agenda. Is there any questions or comments regarding the agenda? As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. We'll move on to item number 3, which is closed session. Before we go into closed session, I will open the floor to any members of the public that wishes to comment on any matters that will be discussed during closed session. As I see none, we will go into closed session at 6:38 p.m. Thank you. We will resume open session at 7:19 PM. I will report of action that was taken during closed session. For item 3A, there was discussion. No action was taken. For item 3B1, there was a discussion, no action was taken place. And that will conclude my report. We will move on to item number 6, which is from the floor. So if anybody wishes to address the board on any matters that are not agendized, this is the time. You can get a speaker sheet from over there. And then you can submit it to trustee Aveda. So this is from the floor. So from the floor is anything that is not agendized for discussion. As I see. You can comment and fill it out after. So yes, if anyone wishes to talk about anything that is not agendized. Now is your time. I will hold the platform for another 45 seconds. We have one speaker.
Through the chair,
Yes.
we do have one speaker, Randy Jackson Senior.
Trustee
Jeez.
Rivera, Brandy is the president, so he will be allotted 5 minutes
Oh, thank you.
as union
Thank you.
leads.
I mean, I could do a
presidents
whole
get
hour. I
5
can do a whole
minutes.
set, but okay. Do that.
Union, as a courtesy for
No,
all of
I
our union
appreciate it.
leads, they get 5 minutes.
Yeah, come on, come on. So good evening, Superintendent, Board, and other members here, and especially CSEA. So we would just wanted to address just a few things, right? So we've been getting calls from our members and they're trying to get an understanding and they're trying to get a feel of what's going on in terms of the environment and the economic environment for our district, right? Because our people are putting out quite a bit of effort in this particular time with our students, right? And so they've come to me with some concerns. And so they're seeing administrators getting increases in salaries, and they've been introduced with layoffs, right? Workload is increased, but they've been introduced with layoffs. So then I've gotten calls about teacher retention bonuses, but then my librarians have been proposed to be laid off. It's just they're not seeing the equity in it in terms of how the district is operating, in terms of seeing increases across the board for everybody but them, they who are the base rock of our district, those who do all those jobs that no one else wants to do, but they do it, every day, day in, day out, especially our paras, our custodians. But then our librarians, we only have 2. And yet they cover all our academic materials, our books, our libraries at all of our schools. And the best we can do is go into administrative increases, and then we lay off our people, right? And so they were just wondering what the board's position was on that for those people that have been serving us for 20+ years would see such an inequity, or at least feel what feels like an inequity, right? Because we were under the premise that it was a one Ravenswood. We feel like we're the one that sort of got left out of this loop, right? So if you seek funding for such things as this, they're wondering, why isn't anyone seeking this for those of us that put in that kind of effort? We want to feel like we're one Ravenswood. But right now they're communicating to me that they feel like they're the ones that are left out. So it's just what I want to bring to your attention. And at some point, you guys can work that out with us, right? In terms of giving us an idea, if that's okay with you guys. So respectfully, we're just asking for some help with this, guys. So thank you, guys. I yield the rest of my. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any? Yes.
The chair, we have another speaker, Opal Okikiat.
Good evening, board. Okikiati.
Test.
I know my face is probably new to some of you. I'm a
Yes, yes.
retired Ravenswood City School District employee. I retired in 2016 after 41 years of service here at Ravenswood, which is the same type of dedication that you have with the people that are sitting out here. We're not talking about people who have been here. And I know Randy, thank you, you spoke very eloquent. We're not talking about people 5 years, 10 years. We're talking about people 15, 20, 22, 25 years and longer. The only thing they're asking for is equality. Now, as I said, they've been here that long. This are new to me. I live in this community, they live in this community. I've seen boards come and go, and so have they. And we're hoping that this board will take into consideration classified as part of Ravenswood. We're part of the family. Everyone that is a classified employee, please stand up. Some of these people have second jobs. And I don't know whether they had to take off tonight to be here so that they could be seen and heard to let you know that we are still here. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other speaker cards? As I see none, just a reminder, we received the comments that were made here tonight. As you all, know, as board members, we cannot discuss or comment on anything, that is not agendized. But I would like you all to know that we do hear, the sentiments that you said tonight, and we will follow up. So thank you all for, coming and thank you for speaking. Now we will move on to item number 7, which is from the consent agenda. Do we have any questions or comments from the board in regard to item number 7? As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item number 7. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. We will be taking a temporary 1-minute break, as we have issues with, some of our microphones. So we will be going into break at 7:28 and we will resume, actually a 2-minute break. We'll resume at 7:30. Thank you. We will resume from our recess at 7:31 PM. Moving on, we will go on to number 8, which is board reports and communications. We have an item 8A. So our wonderful superintendent will be inducted into the Hall of Fame of her school, her previous school, her high school. But it is going on the same day and the same time as our next board meeting. So I wanted to discuss with the board whether we would be open to either moving the board meeting up earlier that week or continuing to have the board meeting without our superintendent. Of course, if there's another option, feel free to recommend. Canceling the board meeting is something that is not encouraged. We need to have at least one board meeting in April.
Shucks. I would propose to have it Tuesday or Wednesday before. I guess would Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday, the 23rd works good for me too.
Tuesday, the 23rd is good for me as well.
Tuesday, the 23rd works well for me.
So our recommendation is April 23rd. Is it possible for us to hold it a little bit earlier than the 6:30 PM time? What time works for you all?
I was not prepared for that.
Earlier or this time is fine.
I'm good with anything early. I'm good after 3.
I can make myself available. Earlier
Is
if needed.
is 5 good? A 5 PM start time?
Yes.
Okay, so consensus is April 23rd at 5 PM is our next board meeting. April 3rd, 5 PM. Do we have any other board reports?
Yes, I ran into a community member asking us to participate in the Cinco de Mayo parade as a district. And so this is me, one, encouraging the community to participate in that event, and then asking Superintendent Sadaria if there might be interest at the school sites to like walk as a district with students from the district. On Cinco de Mayo, yeah, there's gonna be a parade, but I'll have the person that reached out to me reach out to you. Potentially. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other board reports?
Yes. So this week or in the last 2 weeks, I was able to attend the panel conversation that State Senator Josh Becker hosted for the panel on the conversation of education, workforce, housing. And our wonderful superintendent Daria was one of the main panelists. It was really great to see her share how we are not only meeting a need in our community to be able to help teach or help put affordable housing on our school sites and use our resources well, so that we can continue to bring in revenues so that we can make sure that we are giving our students the best educators, the best staff workers, and be able to continue to fund that. Because without those leases happening, we know we have a plan and we know that it's exciting. So it was cool to also see all the different experiences that are going out there and how they're building affordable housing for teachers and staff across the county. And also how these different models, including our own, is an example for the whole state. So thank you to our superintendent for sharing that. I also want to President Latu was the panelist for the Pacifica Women's Wave Makers. They had the panelists of legislators, so women who are Pacific Islander women who are also legislators in the county, and I think where she was one of the as well, and she shared there. So thank you for being a wonderful leader and also representing not only our school district, but also your culture and also a woman in leadership. So thank you for being in the family. Thanks. And then the last thing is, because we're not gonna have a board meeting until the end of April, spring concerts and spring events are gonna be happening at all the schools, so please make sure you check your calendars for that. That's fun.
Awesome. So, I have just one board report. I am working on a community project called the East Palo Alto Community Cookbook. And so I want to encourage our community to submit your recipes, photos, and just stories about how your family kind of created these recipes. And we will be publishing this book at the end of this year, hopefully in the early fall. And so I want to encourage all of our community members to submit the recipes. And eventually down the line in the next couple of weeks, we will follow up with photographers and stuff. And this is because East Palo Alto has different flavors and different stories, and we want to capture that to just, there's so much love when it comes to food. I love food. And so Cheeto, I keep looking at you because I want that ham recipe in the book. So I have flyers and stuff or on my social media, but I'll be pushing that. Anyone who's a resident of East Palo Alto would like to be, I would encourage you to share your recipes, and it'll be a blessing to the whole community. So that is that. Moving on to item, yes? Oh, yes. So yeah, I forgot on my second report. So, it's really special when the board comes up with ideas, but we have a staff member that we would like to highlight tonight. Jennifer Graham has been with the district for many years, and she has, I don't know why I was gonna say transition, but she has moved on to a new opportunity, and we would just like to support you on behalf of this board. So if any other board members would like to add in some comments, I'll open it up before I give you our gift. That is awesome. I keep looking at it. Sorry, yes.
Chair. Thank you. So, for Ms. Craven, I met her probably at one of our board meetings or one of the meetings that we gave, and just working on us thinking about what tests we're doing to our business. And it started out with the way and I remember all of this being this was not the right. And so just your approach to be able to be a leader in that space and also, share that this is just not the right thing for us, and then figure out what works for us and our student. And just knowing and hearing and learning and just learning. So here at the now it's all like principles, but all the different sets that we can still be a part of. Make sure that whatever things that we learn will and that's something that I appreciate all of us here appreciate and really appreciate. When you said that person that came here to say, oh, I was looking forward to the 8th graders who I thought that is amazing. Time and effort to spend thinking of all of the development better people and use that program and that space students and making sure that we're staffing and pushing ourselves. Thank you for all the readings that have but I will say that also, she's also been working with the spirit people. So I experienced her to write and sheet, whatever it's right. And now the spirit with all those not
Ms. Graham, I'm so thankful for all the years of service that you provided for this district. You've been a pivotal member of the district staff. You've been a change maker that has helped push a lot of our policies forward, and you've been a team member that was always willing to say yes. And so we're so grateful for all the years of service. We're gonna miss you and your snacks. You used to supply the board members with snacks a couple years ago. I always remember that. But I was just always so thankful with how positive you are and your attitude towards the work. And so I'm just so grateful for all that you've done for Ravenswood. You're always a friend of Ravenswood. So don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you back whenever. So I wish you all the best. But I know that your new opportunity will be just another stepping stone forward. So congrats. Yay.
I will be brief because it's really hard not to cry. It has been an honor to serve this community. It's been half my career and a quarter of my life. And I won't go far. Obviously, I'm already back. I started on Monday, but I will be at that graduation because those are my babies from kindergarten. And sometimes, it's a thing to teach kids. We have to grow and stretch and try new things and explore new opportunities. And you just never know how it circles and then can ultimately come back together. So I'm not going far, but it has truly been an honor of a lifetime to serve the children and community of Ravenswood.
So on behalf of the board, we got you a gift. It is not a fake, it's living this time. Oh, yeah. All right, moving on to superintendent reports.
I just have another reminder for the board and the community that on April 3rd, 4:30 at Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School, we are proud to host an event that will unveil the learner profile that our community has contributed to creating, from our students to over 500 participants via survey, parent leadership, classified unit members that participated, as well as certificated at the school site and in the home office, from transportation, custodians to teachers, principals, vice principals. We're very excited about our learner profile that will serve as our North Star and hold us accountable to our community as the public school entity that's responsible for building strong community members from TK through 8th grade, and hand them off to East Palo Alto Academy, to Atherton, Hyde Academy, and then beyond. And so I'm excited about, the reason why I'm really excited is that this was not a Gina Sudaria initiative. This was not a board president Mele K. Latu initiative. This was something that was developed by the greater community that we will be held accountable to, so that when we move on, the community knows what the promise is, and that is to ensure our children in Ravenswood State School District proper are going to be ready for college and career. So April 3rd, 4:30 at St. Charles Baptist. And now we have the proclamation for our Women's Month.
Right, the chair. So I'm gonna read a proclamation.
Oh, wait, I will entertain a motion for item number 9A, which is the consideration to approve resolution 24-17 National Women's History Month proclamation. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve item 9A.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Ravenswood City School District Resolution Number SY 24-17, National Women's History Month, March 1st through 31st in 2024. Whereas Women's History Month began as a local celebration in Santa Rosa, California for 1 week. The Education Task Force of the Sonoma County Commission on the Status of Women first planned and executed a Women's History Week celebration in 1978. Whereas in 1980, a consortium of women's group and historians led by the National Women's History Project, now the National Women's History Alliance, successfully lobbied for the national recognition. In February 1980, President Carter issued the first presidential proclamation declaring the week of March 8th, 1980 as National Women's History Week. Whereas 6 years after Carter's proclamation, Congress, at the urging of the National Women's History Project, declared March of each year to be Women's History Month. Whereas the National Women's History Month's theme for 2024 celebrates women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. The theme recognizes women throughout the country who have that for a positive future. We need to eliminate bias and discrimination entirely from our lives and institutions. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background throughout our history have, despite hardship, inclusion, and discrimination, strived and sacrificed for equity and equality in communities across the country and have served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. Whereas National Women's History Month honors and celebrates the struggles and achievements of American women throughout the history of the United States. And whereas suffragists helped pass the 19th Amendment to the Constitution so that no American could be denied a vote on the basis of sex. Women fought to end slavery, advocate for civil rights, and pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Equal Rights Amendment originally approved by Congress in 1972. Generations of women continue to lead the fight for climate justice. Whereas, staying on the shoulder of the women who came before them, today's women and girls continue to carry forward the mission of ensuring our daughters have the same opportunities as our sons. Women are leading the fight for justice, opportunity, and equality, and continue to lead groundbreaking civil rights movements for social justice and freedom. Whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical political, economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force, and American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the nation. Whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. Additionally, women have been instrumental in the fields of science, the arts, and athletics. Whereas Ravenswood City School District and the communities also recognize the importance of understanding women's history and sharing it with our students, particularly with regard to honoring the significant and long-standing contributions women have made in this country, in California, and our local community. Whereas, despite the advancements of women in the United States, much remains to be done to ensure that women realize their full potential as equal members of society. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing board on the Ravenswood City School District that the district takes great pleasure in recognizing March 2024 as National Women's History Month and urges all citizens, staff, and students to join in celebrating the accomplishments and persistence of women everywhere.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. We'll move on to item number 10, which is the consideration to approve resolution 24-16, board member excuse Oh. Sorry, I skipped that. Let's go back to 9B. Just kidding, see? I was testing to see if you all were paying attention.
Yes.
And you won.
Yes, we actually have a team here to co-present a change maker initiative that we're very excited to share with the board in response to the need to ensure that we elevate the academic success and experience of our Black students. And so we have our Assistant Superintendent, Sarah Stone, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Coordinator, Marissa McGee, and is our Campus Relations Coordinator, Yvette White, also going to co-present?
She will be coming up, yes.
Awesome. Okay. So we're also, I think, very excited about the fact that and Sarah will share some more that there's an interest across all of our team members, not just our teachers, our principals, our teachers, and our classified staff participated in a visit to see what this looks like in action. And for me, my experience was that it was very compelling, and all the reason why we need to make sure we are teaching a comprehensive history of all of what your children's ancestors had experienced. And it can just elevate engagement and interest as well as academic achievement. So, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Sadaria. Good evening, President Latu and trustees. I'm very excited to be here tonight to share something that we have been working on really since last year. But this is an opportunity at our last board meeting where we shared our middle of year data. The board asked, what are we doing when we see our data the way it looks? And so this is an opportunity for us to share something that we're doing about our data. So tonight we're going to discuss the purpose of the Changemaker program, our current state and how we're making progress, and what our approach has been and will be, and some key milestones and next steps. So we know that we must take an anti-racist approach to education to uphold our promise to all students. Gloria Ladson-Billings, in a presidential address in 2006, named "We do not have an achievement gap," which is deficit language. We have an educational debt that we owe our children. It is caused by the accumulation of systemic inequities and injustices over time, and it specifically harms racialized and historically marginalized communities. And in order to address it, we have to be committed to anti-racism. And what's so wonderful about our school district is that we have an anti-racist commitment. We discuss it at every single meeting that we have, and we are very focused on not just having it as something on a page, but actually living it and breathing it, creating practices and policies and next steps connected to that anti-racist commitment. So our mission to empower our students to fulfill their unique potential, which is a beautiful mission, has to be in connection to that education debt. And in order for us to eliminate it, we need to provide an exceptional educational experience for all students. And we are starting to make some progress, as we shared at our middle of year data analysis. There are some really good highlights of things that we're doing better. We're starting to see students mastering literacy based on our SIPS data. We are starting to see third and middle school students 6 through 8 really at 80% plus mastery with SIPs, and that's just within the 1 year. We're also seeing that middle school students are starting to make marked growth from the early part of the year to middle of the year in reading comprehension. One thing we didn't highlight, we were remiss to highlight in our middle of the year, is some of the successes about our ELA growth, not just the 82% of our students who had already, the median who had already met our annual ELA growth, and some of those highlights around fourth, seventh, and eighth in ELA, and then in math, seventh and eighth. What we didn't highlight was actually that we did notice that our African-American students had already made 118% of the median growth, meaning that at the midpoint in the year, they'd already met their full year's growth at the median. That's actually really great news. That said, we also know that we have far to go, and we continue to share this. We know that it is important not only that our students are meeting their growth goal, but our stretch goals. And in order for us to get to those stretch goals across the board in every single group of students, we need to be very intentional and very focused. And that's what we are doing with really honing in and focusing on literacy. And we also noticed that there are some very disturbing and unacceptable continued data that is connected to our students' sense of growth, of belonging, and our students' sense of self in the community. And it is definitely showing up in our suspension rates. What is interesting, and so I want to pull this thread through, what we noticed, because we talked about this in the middle of year, our African-American students disproportionately are not feeling that sense of belonging. Our African-American students are disproportionately also being suspended. What is very interesting is that our African-American students also have higher attendance rates and less chronic absenteeism than some of our other students. So what we can say about that is our students are coming to school and they're doing well. And yet we're seeing this belonging data and this suspension data. Something has to change, and it has to change quickly. We can't wait. I'm going to introduce Marissa McGee to take over the next few slides and talk about what we are going to do to make that change. And Marissa is our DEI coordinator, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion coordinator.
So that data really tells the story of our why. And there's a quote from Michael Jr., who's a comedian. And he says, when you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose. So I'll speak a little to our what right now. So Changemakers is a program that's designed to support our students who have been historically and persistently marginalized. And our goals are to really create a sense of pride and a strong sense of belonging and connection for our students. We also aim to build a leadership pathway for both students and educators. And we'll do this by leveraging best practices from John Powell on targeted universalism, and also looking at the Kingmakers of Oakland program, which is what we had an opportunity to visit back in January, which seems like a very long time ago. And really making sure that this work is rooted in the rich history of our students, their cultures, our community. And all of this is in service of flipping the external and internal narratives. Here we go. So Changemakers is rooted in this approach where we have a universal goal. And right now, one goal that we've been talking about is really having a sense of belonging for students. Looking at the data earlier, we can see why that's important. And then we'll have a targeted approach. So one of those targeted approaches is affinity spaces. The teacher in me is really fighting the urge to ask someone to read the quotes, but I'll just sort of summarize that affinity spaces can be so powerful because they can be spaces where healing occurs, empowerment, there's a lot of agency and connection that takes place. And all of that is in service of creating those feelings of belonging. And we just have a couple of quotes that speak to that. And also with this approach, we're aiming to disrupt practices and policies that may be perpetuating harm and inequities. So that's what Changemakers is aiming to do. So what this program is, it's all in service of equity, and it's a space that will promote belonging and agency. It's rooted in the rich cultures of our community, which is actually one of the tenets from our anti-racist commitment. It'll be a space where we can co-design and collaborate and increase opportunity. And it's really just supporting students in understanding education and just other values. And we're planning to start with certain groups, and we're hoping that it can expand because we think that this is something that can be beneficial for all students throughout the district. We really wanted to be intentional about saying what this program is not. So it's not an intervention for behavior. It's not separate from Tier 1 academics, and it's not a reactive program. So we really want this to be a proactive approach. And so this just gives an idea of what we've been up to so far. So this school year has been all about the forming stage of team development. So we have some people who we're going to hear from in a bit. And it's also been a lot about learning this year to inform our work moving forward. And we've had some opportunities to engage in professional development, which we will continue doing for the remainder of this school year as we move into 2024-25, which I will pass it back for that.
Thank you, Marissa. So the goal is that next year, what this program will look like, we are forming very organically. What it looks like in Oakland Unified is there are facilitators, and the facilitators have groups of students, again, in these affinity spaces. And what is happening in those groups is that students are learning about their own selves, their own community, learning the true history that we all should be learning, and have time and space to really develop their own academic strengths and communication with each other around those academics. So it's really about both the internal narrative, the growth mindset of our students, but it's also about helping to shift the narrative across the school as well. And so the Kingmakers program came out of that. The African American Male Achievement Program became the Kingmakers program. And so we're really taking a look at what they're doing, but we also want to make sure that what we are doing matches Ravenswood and matches the needs of our students in Ravenswood and matches the brilliance of our students in Ravenswood. And so this year we were able to develop this team of adults who are committed, and you'll get to meet a few of them in a few minutes, and started to really plan. What is this going to look like? So what we're going to do next year is we're going to start the year off with goal setting and freedom dreaming, both with our staff, but also with our students and our families. And we are, as Marissa mentioned, we're starting with targeted groups. We're starting with African American students and Asian Pacific Island students. And that is coming directly from our data, where our data is showing us that we need to pay attention very closely and carefully. We are going to create the changemaker groups at the schools. It might be eventually at the middle school an elective. It could also be I'm sorry, I'm a lost for words, like a push-in program into a classroom setting as well. There are a lot of different ways it can look, so we're still trying to figure out what it will look like. One thing we don't want to do is take students out of Tier 1 instruction, but we also want to highlight and elevate. And we're also working right now in partnership with across a few different districts, including Oakland Unified, to decide what the curriculum will look like and refine it. And we want to make sure that we're starting to have some celebrations and rituals, including things like an oratorical fest and other events that are meaningful to our students. And one of the other things that I'm excited about with this and that we are working on in collaboration with the Human Resources Department is that this is also a way we heard from our classified staff today, and they are so amazing and important and the backbone of what we do.
And we also know that there are some classified staff who would love to be teachers, who would love to be able to get into some sort of a program and get to be able to move into that role. This is an opportunity for some of our classified staff, if that's what they want, for us to help get the training and support, have them partner with places like the REACH program so that they can get their credentials and actually become classroom teachers. This is also an opportunity in some ways to use CTE certification for them to become CTE certificated teachers. So we're very excited about the opportunities. And if somebody says to me, well, what exactly does it look like right now? We can't exactly say because we really are creating this organically together.
Okay. So we added this quote. So it's from President Barack Obama, which says, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek."
So I'm very excited to introduce our core members of this Changemaker team. Unfortunately, a few members were unable to be here tonight. But if I can welcome up the amazing Yvette White, and I'd also like to welcome up Stephen Redmond, who is the executive director at Middle College, who's also a part of our growing team. We're all going to have a minute to share why this is important to us. And I would like to start with Ms. White.
Hello, I might take 2 minutes. No, I'm just joking. But first of all, I'm glad that I was chosen to be part of this team because I had no idea what we were going to see. But when we got there, I was blown away. Like just seeing the passion and the love that the role models gave to our Black male students was just special and like just touched me in a different way. And me and Marissa talked to some of our BSU students at CCRMS. And one of the main things that they talked about was having teachers that look like them so that they are culturally aware of a lot of their issues and what they're going through because they don't feel like they're heard. From this program, I believe that they will be heard and supported, and they will be successful just by the role models and what the program it entails. It was really good to see, like, I know Gina and I and a lot of us talked about, they had a wall, and it was just so touching to hear all the stories about fathers. We don't hear that in our culture. Most of the wall was like, I'm proud of my dad, or I'm proud of this person. And it just touched me in a special way. And I think this will be just an amazing program for our students. So I hope it gets approved. And I'm eager to learn more next month at the conference. So please take that into consideration. It will be a great program for our Ravenswood. Thank you.
In response to the wall that Ms. Yvette White was speaking about, there was a wall full of students' essays, and they were writing about the kings in their lives. And it dispelled all of the stereotypes of absent Black fathers, when in fact, every letter, I think there's only like 2 out of the 30 that were up there, were all about their fathers. And the positive imagery, the positive stories, a narrative that we typically do not hear, that we need to hear in our schools, was evident. And it was just so moving.
So I'd like to invite Stephen Redmond up to just share why he is a part of this program.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Redmond. I'm the executive director for Middle College and College and Career for Sequoia Union High School District. And my main role is implementation of a Living the Promise MOU, which is a collaboration between Ravenswood City Schools, Sequoia Union High School District, Kenyatta, San Francisco State, and Cal State East Bay. But it's really about exposing students to what's out there after after high school. And I think the Changemakers is a great approach as far as being proactive and having those conversations early on. we all think what happens with students when they get to high school, but we should be planting those seeds while they're in elementary and middle school. So I think this program, I'm excited because it gives me a opportunity to connect with the team and join the work that they've already started. And I'm excited about what's to come. So thank you for letting me be a part of this team.
And I'll read Losaline's why, since she's not here this evening. So she said, Change Makers creates a safe place where ideas and solutions are shared to tackle obstacles that our students face every day trying to gain an education. As a member, because I know better, I can do better and be a change that our students need.
And unfortunately, Steve Baker couldn't be here tonight. He's actually in Coloma with our students. And he says, I'm excited about the Changemakers program because it makes Black academic excellence intentional. The academic excellence of our Black kings and queens is near and dear to my heart.
Sure, my why. I'm just excited about the possibility of fostering a sense of connection and empowerment for our students. And having attended school in Ravenswood myself, I'm really excited about amplifying the rich culture of this community. And that goes back to flipping the narrative. So it's just a great opportunity to do that, not only for our students, but also for our staff.
And for me as a white woman, I think it is not only an opportunity, but it is my moral imperative to be an anti-racist, abolitionist co-conspirator. And this is an opportunity for me to create the conditions to uplift and do the work. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
I have a couple questions. So are the people on that the only change makers right now, or is the team, like, how are we getting more facilitators? Like, is it an opt-in? Yeah.
Good question. Thank you. I neglected to mention that the goal for now is to have at least one at every school. At Los Robles, they've identified a person who's going to start joining our team. And at Castaño, we're hiring for that position. And at the middle school, as I said, we're not only going to have an African-American specific group, but also an Asian Pacific Islander group that's going to be run by Losaline. And then Steve Baker is at thank you, Bellhaven. I'm having trouble with my brain tonight. It is a growing program, and the way that Oakland started it very, very, very grassroots, and it started small and it got bigger and bigger. And so we'll see what happens.
And then my second question or comment would be about how the team is supporting themselves. At Sequoia, we started doing like more training about affinity spaces and how to make the job sustainable for ourselves so that we can be here for a while. And so as this continues to grow, a lot of this is very heavy. And so just being mindful of finding spaces to take care of yourselves first so that you can be there for the students. And so I was just curious about that, or maybe something to think about.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's something that we really do need to think about. I don't think that we've thought about that yet. So thank you.
Any other questions? I just asked Superintendent Sudaria if there was a designated place per site, and the hope is that there will be. And so I am excited for what's to come. This is a major ask that the board had presented historically, so I'm glad that there's a lot of traction going on. But I will continue to wait for updates, because I really do think that each school site should have designated spaces that are representative of the cultures and ethnicities of this community currently, not possibly, but what's here now. So thank you all for that presentation. Excited for the next one.
We are too. Thank you very much.
Also, moving on to item number 10, which is the consideration to approve resolution SYN 24-16, board member excuse absences. I will entertain a motion for item number 10 for trustee Shabon Maheen.
I move to approve item number 10.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Resolution?
Yes.
You don't have to read the whole thing.
Resolution SY 24-16, board members excuse absences. Trustee first, trustee Sabota.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. The next regular board meeting will be held on April 23rd at 5 p.m. Open session will be soon thereafter. I will adjourn the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board meeting of March 28th, 2024 at 8:17 p.m. Thank you.